Welcome everyone to episode 175 of the JSB GamesCast. I'm your host Rob, aka Zen. Joining me today, we have my usual best friends in the world. Ryan, controlling everything. How are you?
La Lion! I'm fine. I am doing A-OK. I'm doing spectacular.
Lion.
You guys want to know why in a few minutes?
Don't have rights. On the other end of this call, Drew, how are you?
I'm fine. I do have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you call a priest that's graduated from law school?
Oh, no.
What?
Father-in-law.
And this has been the JSB GamesCast. Thank you guys for joining us. It has been a wonderful show. And stay tuned next week where we will talk about the games that we have been playing. Bye, y'all.
Later.
Y'all just don't appreciate good humor.
Is that what you call it? Oh, okay. Anyway.
Look, puns are just supreme form of humor. People just don't understand.
The supreme form, like the brand Supreme.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Totally. Anyway, moving on with the show.
Oh, jeez.
Can't take y'all nowhere. Oh, man. We have video games to talk about. Things have happened. I am back on the show. I was not here last week, but you guys held it down, which was very cool.
Oh, yeah. How was your assignment? How was everything with that?
It was great. So for people that don't know, I was in New York for the Radwimps concert. Radwimps being the band primarily that does the Makoto Shinkai movie soundtracks. So like Your Name, Weathering with You, Suzume. It was fantastic. It was actually one of the best like shows I have ever been to. Like they do a killer performance. Definitely a real highlight. And if they ever come back to the US, which I feel like they will, like the New York shows sold out and they were allowed to do like a second night.
Wow.
Basically. So the reception was really, really good. So if they do another US tour, I definitely recommend everybody to go see it. They had like this one segment in the middle of it, which was just like this. It could only be described as like a musical battle royale between like all of the band members. It was insane. So yeah, 10 out of 10 trip. We went to go visit the Nintendo store as well. So video game related, which I've been to that store a couple of times, but every time I go in there, it's a really wonderful experience. There's usually something new, some new parts to the store, new merch, exclusive merch in there. Always a good time. But yeah, overall, very good trip.
Nice.
Fun weekend, except for the fact that it was raining the entire weekend. So
that's never fun.
Yeah, it killed the idea of just like walking around New York, right? But we got to at least do like the big stuff, and it was Nick's first time in New York. So we definitely got to show him a few places and had a good time.
That's good.
Yeah. And then I got back, and this game Idol Showdown came out.
Yep.
There's several games that have come out since the last time I was on this podcast that have just like completely derailed my life. And if you want, like, I could just jump right in.
Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and get into
some video games.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Idol Showdown first. This game just came out last week. Was it last
Friday?
Yeah. Friday, the beginning of the weekend. It completely derailed my entire fucking weekend. I have not sat in net played on a fighting game for like 8 hours at one time since the beginning of like Strive.
Right.
It's been a pretty long time since I sat down and done something like this. But it is such a well-made fighting game done by a very, very small team.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, Idol Showdown is a fighting game it's a free-to-play fighting game that is currently on Steam. That features all of the Hololive characters. It has a pretty decently sized cast, right? It's like 8 characters or something like that.
Yeah. With 3 more to come too.
Yeah, with 3 more in the chamber. It is a game that also has assists. And there's a pretty decent amount of them as well. I think like another 8 characters or something like that as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like feel like your typical assist-based fighting game, right? Because of how like the meters work, right? So in this game, you have 2 separate meters. You have your star meter, I think it's called, which is you use for like your supers or your EX moves, right? It can store up to 4 bars. And EX moves cost 1 bar, I think it is, and then you have like your big super that costs 2.
Yeah.
But you could also use that meter. You could use 2 bars of that meter to do like a super assist call, right? Which is like this big, huge attack that the assist character does. And then you have another meter, which I forget what this one is called. Ryan, if you happen to know.
I think it's called the super chat meter is what it is.
Super chat? That makes sense because you're getting super chat points or whatever.
Yeah. It's a super chat meter where like if you do certain things, like if you do like special moves as like manual inputs, you gain meter that way. If you hit like a perfect anti-air, you'll get meter that way with the super chat. If you instant block, yes, there's instant block in this game as well. You get a super chat meter for that as well. And that's kind of like for your secondary like assist call. It's either your secondary or your primary. It's one of the 2.
Technically, it's your primary one.
Yeah.
But that meter is also tied to another mechanic where you could spend the entire bar on an assist call, or you can spend a section of that bar to special cancel your special moves.
Yep.
Right. So essentially, if anybody that's played Guilty Gear Strive or Guilty Gear Xrd and you know Sin, like every character is just Sin with this meter. Which is very interesting because it creates a bunch of different play styles, right? Where it's like, do you want to use like assist calls more often, or do you value your special cancel options more so, or even just like situational things, right? Like I discovered earlier today that like there's one matchup in particular that like I'm probably going to use my assist a lot more and save that meter for this more so than other matchups, which I find very interesting, right? So it's not like a case of like a Marvel or something where like you're constantly throwing out assist calls all the time, right? It is just like it is this tool that is like used somewhat sparingly, right? Because that meter doesn't fill up super fast, but like fast enough to where like you probably could get like 2 assist calls out in a round or something like that.
I think it's like the best comparison would probably be like either like a DFCI, where like there was meter with those assists and everything. Also kind of like even though I touched it a little bit, but it came to mind like when I was playing it was Aquapaza was kind of another one.
So my brain like defaulted to Aquapaza in some ways, right? Still not like 1 for 1, but I think that's like the closest where like I would play something like this, where like the assists are there, but they're not like a primary thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And every character in the game so far feels like super unique in what they do. So you have like your character Botan, for example, which is like this long range fighter, but also has like close range options as well. Like she is the FPS god, right? They do a really good job of translating every character's personalities into this game, right? Because Botan is known for like her FPS plays, right? So you're over there with your like sniper shots, and honestly, she has some of the sickest confirms. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. And then you have like characters like Korone, who is kind of like this all-arounder type deal. Like she almost feels like the Ryu of the game in some ways, right? She has the fireball.
I mean, if there is a face of VTuberism, it is Korone.
Yeah,
right.
I would definitely say Korone is very much the Ryu of this game. Yes, that would definitely make sense.
Yeah, that's exactly so. So like she has her fireball, which is Yubi Yubi, right? She just fires a finger at the opponent. She has a DP where she does Mario's jump as a Shoryuken, right? So like she actually turns into like this giant like 8-bit like version of Korone and does like an uppercut.
Yeah.
A la Mario's jump. And she does like the spring sounds, just like bling bling. She does it. Her
throw is the trademark, which is pretty good.
Her quadruple back is the chainsaw, right? So when she does her Doom plays, so she's just like vroom, 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 as she does it. So it's really funny. Amazing stuff, and every character is like that. They all have like their thing that is like their signature, what they're known for.
Yeah.
Have you messed with like other characters or like any other characters kind of stand out?
I messed around with Fubuki for a little bit as well, and she's
I did a little bit of that Fubuki too.
So like she has like a gotcha system with her game plan, right? Think Shingo,
is the gotcha tuber.
Yeah, think of Shingo from KOF. Where like certain specials of his would be like a critical hit or like a counter hit state, like so they have different properties and stuff. So like sometimes you'll get like her SSR variant of her special. And like it has different properties to where like she could continue comboing and things like that and everything. Now she does have a mechanic that's where she can spend a bar and eat a hamburger because hamburgers are her favorite food. And it guarantees that the next special that she does is the SSR variant.
That's how that works.
Yeah, so that's so that's how that works and everything. Her super, she turns into her dark form, which is Kurakami, and it's only for like the special, like the super animation. Like she doesn't stay in that form or anything like that. It's just when she does her super. She also has a fireball, a DP, and a Tatsu as well. So she might be like the Ken, so to speak. But I think honestly, like I feel like a lot of stuff with her, like if you want to play Fubuki, you might as well play Korone. At this moment. Now, obviously, this game's still very, very new, and they've been pumping up a lot of hot fixes and updates since the game dropped and everything. So, like, the developers are, which shout outs to them, man. I mean, the Hololive, like, fandom and, like, the developers and, like, just in general, like, the games that they've made, and not just this developing crew, but like even when you look at the Holocure, like the Vampire Survivor game and stuff like that and everything, like they're all well made. Like it's just kind of crazy, like how good these projects end up being, in a sense. So obviously, you know, things are being tweaked as the game is kind of progressing and everything. But yeah, I mean, like Fubuki has some cool stuff, but I feel like some of it's probably needs this tweaked a little bit more because there's some aspects of her that kind of feel incomplete. But I mean, again, it's a free to play game. They're going to continuously update it and things like that.
And people are going to find stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Who knows what this is going to look like in a couple days from now?
Yeah, exactly. It could completely change. As far as like other characters that I kind of labbed, I did check out Susue a little bit.
Oh my god, Susue players don't have rights.
She's a very unique character, and she has some set play elements that, like, I've seen like a really good Susue, like that I played against and stuff like that, and I was just like, oh wow, this character is crazy. Like, bro,
I was getting tossed around so much, and I'm like, I don't even know where I'm getting tossed at. Like, she has a command grab that has like a super subtle startup animation. Like, next thing I know, I'm being like put into a Tetris piece and like tossed across the stage. I'm like, what is happening? She has like a special move where she does this like long-reaching axe hook thing that like I swear to God goes like half screen.
And it's an overhead.
Is it an overhead?
There is a variant of that move of the axe that is an overhead. Yes.
Yes, that is true. I do remember that. That one's punishable though.
Yes.
Because I remember she was doing that to me, and I was like, nah, I'm at least going to punish this shit every fucking time. But, like, playing neutral against her was, like, I feel like that gif of Korone with like all the fucking numbers and shit that are just around her, like that is me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta calculate through this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
God, she was annoying.
Yeah, but I
Every
mean,
character is juiced.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely some wild stuff. Like, Coco's got some interesting things, like especially with her command grab stuff and everything. There's one thing that was throwing me off too, like, and I think it's something that maybe the developers might have to adjust, or maybe I just wasn't seeing it right or whatever. But like her fireball that she does, right, like her little flame that she does. There was times where like the flame would be completely off the screen. And then, like, I would try to move or stuff like that, and then I'm hit by the flame. So I feel like
because it like lingers.
Yeah, there's like a hitbox that lingers, and like the fire animation's gone. So like I get thrown off, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that lingers for a good while after the fact. So like I have to make sure like I'm like blocking for like an extra second after the flame attack, because like I don't know how many times I got caught by like the lingering hitbox of that, and I'm just like, what is going on here? What just happened?
I noticed that too earlier today, and I'm like, why is this a thing? But then I also realized like she recovers for a very long time after that thing. So like, just keeping in mind, just like take that extra second to like not do a thing, go make a sandwich, come back, and then like punch her in the face.
Yeah. But like she seems like she's that's probably the character, honestly, like for me personally, I probably fought the most is Coco players. Yeah,
I haven't seen too many. I've only seen a couple.
Yeah, I think that's the one I fought the most right now. Her and Ayame, those are probably the two that I have fought the most of.
I think Ayame is like the most popular one. I see her the most, and then I think I play against Botan the second most.
Yeah, Ayame is probably the easiest character to play in the game, and you treat her like Wolverine. She just hits buttons.
Yeah, basically. You know, she has big sword hurts, leads into converts from every range. Good damage output off that stuff.
Easy confirm into her level 2 super as well and stuff.
Yeah, very, very easy character to kind of pick up. That 2B of hers, that like fucking low range sword swipe is so annoying. I run into it so much.
Yeah, I get tagged by it a lot too. It's almost similar like when I was playing BB Tag and I get tagged by Carmine 2C all the time.
Yeah, like, it's almost like that. It's like,
it's like,
then you're like sitting through the full whole juggle combo, and you're just like, all right, can we speed this up? Put me down already.
Yeah, exactly.
And she has a tiny hurt box too.
Yes,
like she's a tiny character, so your combos drop on her, and I'm like, I gotta find new routes.
Same. Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit before start podcast. Is like, oh yeah, Botan's B&B does not work on Ayame. I gotta find a different route for it. To like make up for it. So outside of that, like as far as like characters that I've like tried out or like, you know, faced a lot of it or anything, that's pretty much it. I think the one character that I have not seen yet, but I've heard a lot of people say that the character is pretty cracked out right now is Aki Rosenthal. Yeah. I've heard that character. I have not seen it yet, but I have seen some clips and I've seen what people have said about that character. I've heard that character is cracked out.
She's a menace to society. I haven't fought a good one yet, but I did have I had Nerd Josh's stream up on the side when I was doing some stuff.
Oh, Nerd Josh is playing her?
No, he's playing Botan.
Oh, okay.
But he was playing against Kugi, who is playing.
Oh, okay.
And you could just see the joy on like Nerd Josh's face just start to fade away after like an hour. It is just like this situation is becoming more and more dire as like Kugi is figuring out the shit with Aki.
Oh no.
And it's just like Aki has a teleport that has like 0 recovery and like you can't do anything about it. It's very, very hard to like preemptively throw out a button to like stop her, or even if she does like the up teleport to do an upward, to do an anti-air, right? She just like stuffs out all the options.
Yeah.
On top of a character that has built-in like assist calls as well.
Yeah, because she basically uses like a stand just about.
Yeah, she has a stand in a really strong like zoning game as well too. So like she kind of just has a little bit of everything and like no recovery on like anything. So she definitely seems like she is a problem in the right hands.
But she is a pretty technical character.
Is she? I haven't seen like her.
It's what it seems like. I'm going based off like the difficulty thing that they showed.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I mean that's really the only thing I can really gauge off of it and everything.
True.
I mean, her play style and what she does is not exactly my style of play, so that's why I didn't really lab it that much. But
it seems a little awkward to use, but like watching someone like piece it together, kind of in like real time. And then like figure out the cheap shit, and it's just like, oh yeah, I could see why she would rise to like the top of like an early tier chart, right? Like she definitely has a lot of shit that seems hard to deal with for like probably most of the cast. Now maybe there's some like specific assists that may be able to help counterplay it, like that would be one area to like experiment with. But just like pound for pound on like the tools, on like character tool sets, it seems pretty tough to deal with for most of the cast.
Yeah, definitely. But that's pretty much like all the characters I really got a sample of. I know we were talking about Sora earlier. That's a character That's a character I have not seen yet, like at all. Like she and Aki are like the two I have not seen a lot of.
I fought her for the first time today, right? You were seeing me go through it like in real time.
Which, by the way, it's a rarity to see you go through something like that. I'm like, damn, all right. It's just Rob's like this deep.
I was feeling it because like, so I was talking to you before the show, right? I had a fundamental misunderstanding of like one of Korone's moves,
right? Yeah.
Which is her chainsaw. So like, I fought against a really strong Florida player the other day, Tsukiyoni, who's known for playing like Bullet and BBCF, like one of the best players. And we had like a really long set on Saturday where he was playing Botan, and you could tell like both of us are just like figuring this thing out as we go, right? Like I'll find an answer, he'll find an answer, and it's just like this back and forth interaction. But what was really getting me in that matchup was just like Botan's zoning tools.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, I don't know how to get around this. This is a nightmare for Korone. Like if I get in there, it's cool because like she has some really good buttons up close and can put on pressure well. But like, Botan seems tough.
And Botan really only has one reversal, which is the shopping cart.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I just started like experimenting with the special moves, and then I learned that like chainsaw blows up a lot of Botan's projectiles, like for whatever reason. So I thought that her chainsaw had projectile invul, right? Which I was like, oh, this makes things a whole lot easier. It functions as if like an actual Tatsu. That is not the case. That's just a very specific thing to Botan, because for some reason Botan's projectiles have awkward hitbox, hurtbox interactions with Korone's chainsaw. So I could just like blow through Botan's shit, which is cool for that matchup, but does not work against Sora or anybody else with projectiles. So Sora's whole thing is she has these musical notes that she tosses out, and it almost reminds me in some ways of Ino. There's like some Ino and Aoko in here.
Yeah.
Because like she has a music note that goes like in an upward trend as if he was holding up on Ino's notes, right? And then she has one that goes forward but hits multiple times and keeps them locked down, right? So it feels like I'm almost playing against like Ino's zoning in some ways. But she also has one that she can hold there like Aoko's note and then like explode it when she wants to. So I'm sitting here in this matchup, like trying to blow through these projectiles, and I'm like, this does not work. I don't know how this works. And on top of her having really long range sword normals for some reason, like this bitch just pulls out an energy blade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she has two of them. Like she does 5B and then forward B. And I'm just like,
she also has the help of Achan.
Yeah.
Which basically acts like almost as like Maya for Phoenix Wright and Marvel 3, just about.
Yes, yeah. So it reflects back things, right? So like I try to play this zoning game with Ubis, and then it's like, oh, she just throws them back. Or if I do block string into Ubi, she counters it back and gets a confirm, and I'm like, this is awful. I don't know how to deal with this. Because like she'll do energy beat or energy sword into the forward energy sword into the 2 hitting note. I can't do anything about it. Like if I try to jump over it, I get hit. If I try to like chainsaw through it, I get hit. I have nothing to go through it, and then she just goes right back into the string again. And I'm like, this feels like an infinite block string. Help me, I'm dying. I'm dying. Thank you forever.
Exactly.
Right, but I did figure so I could force a trade, right? So if I don't have any other like assist meter or anything like that, if she cancels into that note, I can hit 5B, trade, and then get the confirm off of the trade. So I'm like, so I learned that after the fact, and I'm like, okay, it's still kind of a guess, because like if she does the other note, then like I get hit, but I don't think she could pick up off of it. So it's a weird thing I'll have to play around in actual match. But then I sat down and found the actual counter to this, which was Mio assist, where she does the fire punch, blows through projectiles, gives me the wall bounce, and then I take off 50% of her life. So I'm like, okay, next Sora I run into, they're gonna fucking die. This shit is annoying. That felt like the worst matchup I've played so far. But fun. Still a fun game, regardless.
Yeah.
Just putting me through the ringer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right there with you. It's been forever for me since I played like a fighting game like where I want to actually dump hours into the game and stuff like that. So like it's super refreshing for that and everything. And also 1 month before Street Fighter 6, which is kind of neat. And
also, shout outs to the lobbies, just kind of like working.
Yeah.
Right?
So
like we have very simple lobbies, even though the online's in beta.
Yeah. So like when the game first launched out, the online was not good. You could tell it was off, but they immediately hot fixed it, and like it's much better now. It's a very functional online, which is at the end of the day, that's all you want. So, yeah, I've been able to play quite a few online games. It's definitely gotten better and everything. I have not messed with any of the single player mode yet, which I might do that sometime this week.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I messed with it for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It reminds me of like, I forget the name of the mode. Drew, you probably know off the top of your head the modes from Soul Calibur 2, where you like
Weapon Master mode.
Weapon Master mode. Yes, thank you. It reminds me of like a Weapon Master mode where like you're going through these stages, and every stage has like a random condition on top of it, right? On top of like you have items that you can use mid fight. So you have like a designated item button. Like you hold the item button, and then you can push light, medium, or heavy to use whichever item in that slot. And they have things like, get health back, or increase your attack or defense, or poison the enemy, like different things of that nature.
Gotcha.
And the mode, like, it takes place on what looks like a game board, right? And you can kind of like pick your path throughout this entire board to get to the end. And there's event spaces where like you run into other HoloLive characters, and they have these fun little interactions. One of the HoloLive characters, Mume, has like a shop that you can shop into and spend currency to
that seems apropos.
Yeah, right. There's like an inn you can rest in, or restock on items and stuff like that. It's a very well thought out like single player mode,
which is cool, because like obviously not everyone that's going to play this game is going to be like the hardcore fighting game player, like us, for example, right? There's going to be people that just want to play the game and just have fun with it and stuff like that, and that seems like that's a very good thing to add on to have that option be there.
And it's challenging. Like I have not beaten it yet. I've tried like several times, and I've gotten to like stage 2. Like so, I cleared the first board and gotten to like the second board. I don't know how many boards there are, but like that difficulty like ramps up, and like I need to think about the items that I have because running into CPU Korone is a fucking nightmare. She has ended my run more times than any other character.
Damn.
It's cool. I like that mode.
Yeah, I might have to give that a shot later in the week just to see how it is and stuff. I just, like I said, just more or less been booting it up and just playing online against other people and just racking up headshots with Botan.
That's basically what I did immediately. It was like I did the tutorial and then I immediately just jumped online.
Yeah.
Like I have not spent a ton of time in training mode, right? Outside of like a few specific instances. But it's just been online play and then like the 3 or 4 runs I did of single player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
shout out to having unlockable costumes or unlockable colors and stuff too. Like things to unlock in the game as well.
I figured like some of those unlockables are probably through the single player mode.
Yeah, one of them seems to be for game count. Like if you play a character for a certain number of games.
Yeah.
I unlocked one for Korone.
Yep, I did as well for Botan.
Yeah, I think the other ones are single player locked somewhere.
Okay. I guess that's an incentive to play through the single player in that regard to try to unlock colors and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You don't really see like traditional unlockable stuff these days.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, that is Idol Showdown.
Yeah, pretty much.
Besto Game Team is the developer, which is a very good name.
I like it. Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Pretty strong. I look forward to seeing what the DLC characters are, and I'll probably keep pecking away at this game. Very, very, very good fighting game.
Yeah.
Free to play, up on Steam. Go. There's no reason not to go download and try it.
Yep. Yeah, if you like fighting games and you like having a lot of diversity and has some pretty cool mechanics in it and everything like that, definitely give Idol Showdown a look. Definitely worth it, especially since it's a free project, free to play game. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah. Another game I have lost my life to that I didn't get a chance to talk about last week was Honkai Star Rail.
I have yet to boot that up.
Oh man, it's man, MiHoYo got me. It's a really interesting game. I think I posed the question. I posed this question to myself, and then I said it to Drew. And I'm almost starting to believe it more and more. And I'm just like, man, is this just a better free-to-play Star Ocean game?
I hate it because that makes me want to play it. Fuck you, Rob.
It's really... The more I play it, the more I'm just like, it has the vibes of being that. And obviously, like, it still depends on, like, where they go with it, right? But they set the story up to, like, be that thing, and I'm like, man, that's very cool. We're gonna travel to like a bunch of different fucking planets and get into some shit. It's a very neat premise. They moved away from Genshin's sort of open world formula, right? Because if Genshin is like the free-to-play Breath of the Wild, as it were, right? Where it's like you have this giant open space, like you have the stamina meter, you can climb anything and everything, you have a hang glider, you're just looking for the next shiny thing up on the horizon. This is a much more like linear experience, right? More like a traditional like JRPG style game. You have these smaller in scope areas that are filled with enemies, and it triggers into a turn-based battle system. We have 4 party members, but it also keeps its simplicity. It focuses more on like skill combos and elemental weaknesses and stuff in the same way that like Genshin does, right? Like Genshin isn't like this hardcore action game a la DMC. It's a much more simplified game, but there are like character compositions and stuff that like play off of each other. So there's like a little bit of thought in how you want to like put together your team, right? Honkai Star Rail does like the same thing, just in like a turn-based formula. So every character has like a basic skill, and you have a you have a basic skill, you have a special move, and then you have like an ultimate, right? And every time you do a normal attack, it builds like the special gauge, which then you can use that to use like your special moves, right? So you can have one character primarily like build up this gauge while you take advantage of another character's special moves, so this way you're never caught like having no meter. And all of that plays into them charging up their supers. And then everybody just has like this very unique super to themselves. So you have one that might be like defensive oriented that gives everybody a shield, one that might do like AoE heals, one that might buff the party in some other ways, one that are just like super powerful attacks. And then every character has like a passive ability. And these get kind of wild. So there's one character, God, what is her name? Is her name like Haruka or something like that? It's like the redheaded character that everybody is fucking losing their minds over in the art world.
There's always that one.
There's always that one, but it's so funny because like she's a fire character, right? And this passive of hers is really good in like, I feel like in most cases, but like there's one particular event that you can constantly rerun for resources where like she is absolutely broken in this, where if you attack the enemy's weakness 3 times, like every time you attack an enemy's weakness, it builds a gauge for her. Once that gauge gets to 3, she automatically does a follow-up attack that's an AoE hit, right? It is a fire attack that is an AoE hit. She can build this meter for herself as well, right? So it lines up to where there's like more than 3 enemies that are weak to fire. So like you trigger it, and then she does the follow-up, hits all 3, breaks them, and then does it again on the next wave of enemies, gets 3 again, does it again, and it just never stops until we get a wave of enemies that's not like 3 fire weakness enemies.
Oh god.
It is so fucking funny that she just like plays this mode herself. It's a tight attack though. Like the animation for it is sick. That's one thing about this game. You could definitely tell MiHoYo has learned a lot from Genshin, because like with each season of Genshin, the animation and the production gets better and better, right?
Yeah.
And all of that plays well into here too, where like these attacks are gorgeous. The animations are so well done, and it's really, really cool. High production all around.
Which is what you now expect with Hoyoverse.
Which is what you expect of them now, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that lends itself to turn-based way more than a lot of like action games in some ways, right? Because you can get crazy with it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about this like breaking the environment or anything. It's a very like controlled animation sequence, right? So when they do their big abilities and stuff, it is much cooler than what it looks like in, say, Genshin Impact.
Yeah, and that was kind of like, and I've yet to boot the game up. Like, I have it downloaded and ready to go. I just haven't got it going yet. But, like, that's the one aspect that I was kind of, like, really looking forward to, was seeing what those animations were going to look like in, like, a more RPG, like, you know, turn-based, like, scenario. Because I mean, we saw what they could do obviously with Genshin Impact. We saw what they could do with Honkai the Third, which was like their first big project that they did. And so that's why like I was intrigued with Star Rail, because I was like, ooh, if they've already gotten a pretty good feel for the action style, I'm curious to see how these are going to translate with the RPG base. So that's one reason why I was definitely looking forward to eventually trying to get this game like going myself.
Yeah, it's very cool. Presentation is like definitely like a 10 out of 10. Even like the in-game cutscenes and stuff like that all animate very well. There's very few segments where I'm like, oh, that was a little janky, but for the most part, it all flows very well. And the story is so far is intriguing. It's not like, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's the best thing in the world or anything like that.
Might be the best Star Ocean story.
It might be. It might be. It absolutely might be the best Star Ocean story. But it is interesting enough. I think the beginning segments where you're on this space station is probably like so far the least interesting part of it. Like I think the intro is a little lacking in explanation as for what's going on. They kind of just thrust you into the situation, and then like you kind of figure it out over time. I think that's what they're going for.
It just sounds like life.
Right.
You are in a situation.
You're in a situation, and then you get into the space station, and they kind of like break down like this threat that is imminent. That space station is facing, and you kind of push that off, and you're like, I don't really know what's going on here, but okay. But once you kind of drop down to like the first planet that you go on, and then they really sum up like what they're doing and how they're trying to gather a specific item from all of these places to prevent a calamity from happening. So we have to visit these planets, and we're on this giant like space railroad, as it will, as we travel through the galaxy. Is pretty sick. And it starts to become clearer like what this game is, and then you get down on the planet and you like get into like the structure and the political structure of like what's going on there and the characters that are inhabiting this place. And I'm like, it's good. Like it's hitting some good emotional beats when it needs to. I'm very curious to see like where this place wraps up, and then like where we go from here. So cool stuff for this game. I was expecting to like it. I wasn't expecting to get like drawn into it in the way that I am. So it is a game that like I'm probably putting like an hour or two into it every single day.
Nice.
At the very least, I'm doing my dailies before I go to sleep, which are pretty quick to do as well. I found it to be like a little tiring in Genshin, right? Like it sucked up way more time than I wanted to like put into doing dailies. So
yes.
I felt like I never got to the point where like I wanted to push the story because I'm too busy finishing up my dailies, and that's all the time I wanted to allot for like this game. Does that make sense?
No, definitely. I mean, that's kind of what you mentioned with the dailies is like one of the reasons why I kind of stopped playing Genshin is because I felt like I was spending way too much time just getting those done. Especially like certain ones, obviously I didn't mind them being random and stuff like that, but there would be certain ones that would show up, be like, "Oh, this is your daily today," and I'm just like, "Fuck, I gotta do that one."
This is gonna take me a minute.
Yeah,
and I want to use up all of my points to go kill like this boss monster, which is gonna take me probably like 5 to 10 minutes per run, and then it's like by the time you know it, you just killed like an hour or so, or hour and some change, right? And it's like, well, I could have been pushing the story, and now I just don't feel like continuing. Like yeah. So like with Star Rail, I appreciate one that you do have like a turbo button for battles, and you do have like the auto battle function as well for things like that.
Nice. That's big.
So you can get through like the daily monotonous stuff like very, very quickly. There is also a mode in here. I forget what it's called, but it's a pretty interesting random dungeon that you kind of go through for materials. Where it does have like has like that roguelike element where it's just like, here are these like random buffs that you can give your character after every encounter. Ryan, you'll be familiar with like going through the Cave of Space and Time thing in Memento Mori, right? It's pretty much that.
Oh, okay.
Except you're going through an actual dungeon, and every fight that you complete, you get to pick one of 3 cards to buff your party.
Gotcha.
And they have like wildly different effects, which are pretty interesting. Like I would be very curious to see like what the high level version of this dungeon is, because like obviously I'm still in like the beginner status, right? So everything is kind of a breeze, but like the way that these abilities can affect the battle and like your team and your strategy is really cool. So like there are some abilities that allow you to inflict like different status effects on the enemies a lot easier, or there's some that gets very technical in terms of like, hey, if you freeze a character, then like your next attack is counted as a follow-up or something like that. And then they have other cards that like play off of follow-up, so it's like any follow-up gets like a damage boost, and it gets pretty technical, and like you can get a bunch of different combinations to do a lot of wild things. And I'm like, there's a lot of potential here for a really fun game mode. Assuming like it forces you to interact with that stuff instead of just like mindlessly mashing through it.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see like what the end game of that mode is. So yeah, it's a cool game. Gonna keep playing it. I'm trying to get the banner character right now, Seal. I think I only have like 14 more days of this banner, and she has not come home yet, and I am stressing. But I did get a lot of other cool characters in the meantime, so I am technically eating good. But you know how these games go. You want the shiny new character, and I want the shiny new character that seems kind of broken. Yeah, cool game out of 10. Paimon is not in this game, so that's already a plus.
Yes, thank God.
There is a cute little mascot character in here, but it is not one that like follows you around.
It's not Paimon.
It's not Paimon. He's actually a very cute little train conductor rabbit thing. It's actually very adorable. I will say I do like the main character a lot. Like the main character is such a mood, and it's so hard to explain why. It's just like their facial expressions is just like, I'm so over everything that is happening here. And like the replies you can give to like the dialogue is just like perfect. There are so many chances for you to just like dismiss what is happening and just like not play into the foolishness that is unfolding in front of you, and then seeing the characters like work around that is really funny. And also like they have a cell phone mechanic where like characters can like send you little texts, right, and then you can do like a little multiple choice to like answer them, and those conversations are actually very cute and very, very good. Adds a lot of personality to the characters, not just like the playable ones, but also some of the NPCs as well. I will say that there's some NPCs in the space station that are actually like pretty relatable in some unexpected ways. Yeah, great game, very cool game. Nice. Highly recommend people check it out. That is another free to play game for people to look into. And then the final thing I'll talk about, which is something that we've all had a chance to touch at one point. Omega Strikers is back.
Yes.
That video game is back in our lives.
Pretty fun.
Officially launched.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think I've talked to you about this game after launch yet. I think this is the first time we've talked about it. I really like the changes that they made.
Yeah.
Like before you had to like pick your character, and then like you had these like tech skills that you would have, and you would have to like kit out your character beforehand and stuff like that. And that I felt that to be like, I don't know, you could create some really busted things, and just like it never really asked you to like engage with like different abilities and stuff. It felt very like cookie cutter, like, oh, here's obviously like what the best kit is, don't use anything else, blah 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 blah.
Right. Yeah.
And characters were often kind of like pigeonholed into like very specific ways to use them. Where I feel like the mechanics now, where one, the game is longer, right? Like you're playing a best first to three, right? And whichever side scores 3 points gets like one game, right? And it's first to three games. But in between each game, based on performance, right, whoever gets the MVP and then like whoever gets XP afterwards gets a chance to pick one of 8 skills that pop up. And it's like, I don't know, that forces you to sometimes pick different skills and play in different ways. It just adds like another layer to the game that wasn't there before. And I find that stuff to be really freaking cool. They also added. I
was gonna say also the fields being different now too. That
yes.
like, they added like different little different traits to like each field basically, where you gotta adjust your play style a little bit based off whatever field you're playing on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. On top of like how the goal works, right? We had Cats talk about it a couple weeks ago, but it's like every stage has like a different way of how you have to open up the goal before you can score, right? There's like 2 things you have to hit, and sometimes it's like these circle bumpers, sometimes it's like actual bumpers on the edges, sometimes it's just these 2 little gates in front of the goal. And it makes you play each map very differently, and there are some characters that I like some maps on more than others. Like as a goalie, I do not like the map with the black hole on it.
Oh yeah, I hate that map.
That map is so annoying.
Yeah,
especially when I'm playing as Dubu, and I'm just like, I can't. I feel like I'm suffocating in that match. And then you have like the circle bumpers that are on there too. That I'm just like, these are so obnoxious and in the way. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I can't find the right positions to be in.
I don't know how many times I got knocked out of the field because I get hit in that damn black hole all the time.
Yeah, you touch the black hole, it explodes and just like knocks you all the way off the stage, and you're just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I gotta sit there and just wait for me to respawn.
Or you hit the puck and then it like gets sucked in and curves into it and then explodes, and you're just like, God damn it. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ. But it's cool that that stage exists. Like, it's cool that there are multiple different types of stages that you have to play differently on. Some are going to be winners, some are not going to be as cool, but the fact that they're trying that is a cool thing, and I hope to see like more maps added later with more mechanics. Yeah, I'm having a blast with that game. Shout outs to that. Shout outs to Studio Trigger doing the OP for it. I didn't realize I needed an anime for Omega Strikers until now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, are you still playing Juliet, or have you checked out some other characters?
Yeah, I'm still playing Juliet mainly. You know, I gotta play the Punch Girl.
This is true.
And you know, Juliet is the Punch Girl. So I'm playing the Punch Girl.
I really like Aimee, the cat girl.
Oh yeah, she's cool.
She's one that I'm trying to learn more of. Like, I like the fact that she can set down a turret, right? And that just forces some shots out to like either zone people out or try to guide the ball in a direction. And then she has like a teleport that is awkward to use, but I'm trying to get better at it. But I'm still largely playing like Era and Dubu. Those are my children. They always will be.
Yeah.
But Aimee might slip in there. Drew, you had a chance to touch it for the first time. We had some duos in. What did you think about Strikers?
I think that game's really fun. I really like it. It's a bit chaotic, so it takes some getting used to, but fun little time waster. Like well, when I say time waster, I imagine you can just lose hours and hours of time.
You can very easily.
But I think that is a game that I want to regularly add into my rotation. As someone who like loves Windjammers, I definitely get a big Windjammers vibe in that game.
Yeah, especially now that they have like that flip mechanic too, which like you can flip the puck and to like hit it double speed back and shit.
Yeah,
like that.
That's very cool.
So I'm all in for it. You know, like I think. My opinion is very limited, so like I only played a couple hours, so I don't have like a really developed opinion about it. But what I played was really fun, and again, I got that Windjammers vibe. If anything, the game was a little chaotic for me to follow, but I mean, it was the first time I played it, so that's to be expected. But it feels real good, like when you score, and like the game's really simple to pick up and play. There's not a lot to it. It's if you played Pong before, I'm pretty sure you can figure it out.
Yeah, right. Like, sure, there are elements in there that kind of complicate it a little bit. Like, you get used to like different skills and stuff, or like the gear system. But like at its core, it's like, I just need to get this ball into the goal, and here is my hit button, right? And then everything else will just kind of like fall into place as you play it. And like it is very chaotic to watch at first and to experience, right? Especially when people start like crowding around the ball and you're trying to like figure out what the hell is going on. But it is something that you just kind of like get used to, and eventually you develop the eyes to follow everything. Yeah, man, cool game. Definitely got to play some more of that.
Big same. I would be down to play some more games.
Yeah. But that's all I've been doing, which is just a lot of free-to-play games. You know, I kind of left Rise hanging. Maybe one day I'll get back there, but I'm enjoying some free to play games right now.
Yeah. Free to play games that you just hop into and play too. It seems like.
Yeah, it's a lot of like hop in and out games right now. Like I can play Omega Strikers like for like 20, 30 minutes and like, okay, cool, I can move on to something else. Like it's very low commitment games for me right now, which is really cool that so many have dropped. Ryan, what have you been up to?
I mean, I really don't have much outside of the games that you've already talked about. Like I said, it's mainly been Idol Showdown for this past week, which we've already talked about. So, I mean, that's been pretty much the games you mentioned, with the exception of Star Rail, which I still plan on getting into, are basically the ones that I've been playing as well. So, just quickly pass along the baton to Drew.
Nice. We killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yep.
Christopher, talk to me about the video games.
To be honest, I've really just been playing Octopath. Still, I'm trying to finish that before Zelda comes out, which I was pretty confident was going to happen until about like 2 hours ago, and now I'm far less confident that that's going to happen. I can go into depth as to why that is, but I don't want to spoil it for you, Rob, if you don't want me to.
Please don't spoil. No spoilers. I'm going to get to that game, I promise.
I completely understand. Like, I'm just going to say that I feel bamboozled. This game got one over on me. I was not expecting this at all. As it was leading up to it, I was just like, huh, what does this mean?
Let me ask you from like a feelings perspective. Like, is it a good thing? Like, are you excited at this point to see more?
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
Okay, that's good. Because sometimes there are those moments where like you're ready for it to end and then it doesn't, and you're just like, you know.
Well, because as far as like the setup for like the original Octopath,
yeah.
I'm still probably about halfway through that, but like as someone who's played the original Octopath, you know how it is. You're just going along, like hitting everybody's chapter 3s and then everybody's chapter 4s, and like that's not like a long and involved experience.
Right.
Like if anything, I still have that complaint about Octopath where like the vignettes feel a little bit too stilted.
Right.
And I think that that's just the nature of Octopath's like skeleton.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like it can be improved upon.
For sure. In
a way that doesn't feel so segmented. Because, like, I do enjoy what's there. I think the little vignettes are, like, really, fun. There's, like, some good, wholesome moments. Like, nothing that's, like, killed me like a Trails story or something like that. But, like, they're just good. It's comfort food almost. Like it is the retro RPG experience, but to some degree, like I just kind of wish it was woven together a bit more. And Octopath 2 does improve upon that between like the increase in travel banters and those not being missable, as well as like, the crossroad chapters where you have characters that join together and have their own stories. Those are cool. I just wish that there was more of like I saw an article recently that compared Octopath storytelling to a Souls game, which I can kind of agree with, because like you have all these happenings that are going on in the world, and like that's fine, like, and they affect all the characters of the game. For example, like the primal like Hikari storyline of like the Nation of Ku, and like how the Nation of Ku is always at war with everything. Like you see that come up in other Traveler stories.
Right.
And like that's cool. And so like you do see that world building and that sort of like Dark Souls storytelling that you see in like NPC dialogue and like little journals that you read and all of that. But I still wish that it was a bit more segmented. And like the chapters that you do, that part hasn't really improved. Like you start up a chapter, you have to do your path action for like a few things, and then like you fight a boss, and then you're done with that chapter. And I'm like, I feel like there's a better way of doing this.
Right.
Like, it's fine. It's aggressively fine. But I feel like there's just a very better way to do this.
Yeah.
That being said, like, I still really like the game. Like, it's what I want in terms of like that. Again, it's comfort food. It's that retro RPG experience that like I crave, and it's delivering on that aspect. It's delivering on the soundtrack aspect. Like, soundtrack of the year, guaranteed. Don't even care. You have like FF16. You have Tears of the Kingdom. Don't fucking care. Soundtrack of the year. I'll die on this hill. 100%.
All right. He's going to die on that hill.
I am. I fucking love this soundtrack, bro. Like, this shit has my head bobbing all the fucking time. Like, I'm sitting here on my couch like an idiot. I'm like, this shit's fucking good.
I am very excited to listen to it. I still have not heard like anything from it. But I don't feel like I've heard anything from it, so I'm excited to get down on it.
Just play it when you get a chance, please. I want to yell at somebody about this game because again, like it does some good things that I really enjoy. And like I've talked about it on this podcast, and it is an improvement. And I think by Octopath 4, we'll have the perfect game.
By Octopath 4, you said?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, if they keep trending in this direction, right? So far they're learning from the first game. They made some steps. So like as long as they keep trending in this direction and listening to feedback, I think that is very important, and I think that is something that Team Asano does. I just
really like that team. I think it's Team Asano.
It's Team Asano.
Yeah, I like that team listens to feedback a lot because this isn't the first game. Like they did that with Octopath 1. They did that with all the Bravely games, like Bravely Default and Bravely Default 2. I think they might have done that with Triangle Strategy as well.
They did.
Which is another game I really need to sit down and play. Like, I really like this team for, like, I guess what you would consider if Production Unit 3 is, like, Square Enix's A team. Like, that's Yoshi P, that's FF14, that's FF16. Like, Team Asano being, like, Square Enix's B team, like, really delivers the experience I love. Because I fucking love the Bravely games. I still need to play Bravely Default 2, but, like, Bravely Default and Bravely Second are two of my favorite RPGs that I've ever played. I love Octopath 1. I really want to sit down with, like, Triangle Strategy and, like, the Live a Live remake. Like, I really enjoy what that team puts out. And I really hope that team gets to continue doing what they're doing. Because, one, they're filling a niche that not a lot of other developers are really filling. And, like, I understand that some people are tired of HD 2D, but, like, I eat that shit up like fucking potato chips. So I'm, like, 100% in for it. So I need that team to just keep bringing it's the team that did it's the idea of what I Am Setsuna kind of set out to do. Yeah. Where I Am Setsuna like sort of set out to do the same thing, and it didn't really quite do that.
Right.
But like the Bravely games and Octopath and Triangle Strategy, I feel like are really hitting that sort of. They're hitting the mark on that. I feel.
I think they're absolutely hitting that thing. Right, like it's hard to really explain what it is exactly. Like capturing a very specific type of game, right? From an age past, you know what I mean? But they're hitting it. And like even the games that I feel like might be on their weaker side of things, like I'm sort of falling out of Triangle Strategy. I would like to go back and finish it, right? But I don't find it as engaging as I want it to be from a storytelling perspective.
That's pretty interesting because like Asher loves that game.
Yeah, he really enjoyed it. Though I know he said it wasn't tactics for him, right? But like it did a thing. Like it satiated him, and like for some reason it's not holding my attention as much as I want it to, despite having really cool characters and a very solid battle system. but I do think like everything that they've done is like at the very least good, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and say like Triangle Strategy is a bad game or anything. Like it is a good game, right? And they put out great products. And I'm always looking forward to like whatever they put out, right?
I do think like they missed the mark on Square's ridiculous like sales parameters that they set for all of their games.
Always, I feel like for Team Asano they kind of have like a pass. Like for like it seems like Square is putting a lot of investment into them, right? Considering that they're doing like the Dragon Quest III remake and they're getting all of these projects. On that. I imagine we're gonna get that pretty soon, right? I imagine whatever year Dragon Quest 12 is set to like really start their marketing stuff. I imagine we hear more about 3. I imagine you wrap those both up into like the same media cycle. But they're definitely like Square Enix is definitely putting a lot more trust into them and giving them more projects. So I take that as a sign of like they're doing what they need to do and they seem to have like successes on their hands. At least from a critical standpoint, right? Because like Octopath scored very high. I think Triangle Strategy did pretty well as well, right? So like they're putting out good games for Square Enix. They don't have too many teams left, I feel, considering they liquidated all of
Square sold off all their Western devs. Forspoken kind of tanked.
You know?
What Square have that's not Final Fantasy 14 and Team Asano right now?
That's a very good question.
So I guess they have like the Nier properties.
Yeah, they do. I'm very curious to see like what studio Square Enix has left in their chamber. Probably a bunch of other business units.
Well, like I raised the question. In the older days, what did Square do that wasn't Final Fantasy? They did like Secret of Mana. They did you had like the Mana series. You had Saga, which I mean, Koizumi is still doing things. I think. Mm-hmm. Like he's still out there fucking churning away. Like I feel like I see a Saga game like come out every so often in Japan. Yeah. Like Saga's pretty big in Japan, I think.
Yeah, they still have them. Usually they're on the mobile platform, right? But they get them pretty regularly.
And they're like actual real games, right? Yeah. Like they're not just mobages.
Yeah, I think they have one mobile game, right? But they do occasionally put out like some actual Saga games. Chrono Trigger is like one of their older ones too, right?
Yeah, but they're not doing anything with Chrono. Like they did the half-ass Chrono Cross remake,
which finally got its patch like a couple of months ago to fix that game. I was hoping
Mana, I think, came and it's gone again. Because like the mobile game tanked.
It did. But how did
it went out of service in like a year?
What about those remakes though? Those did pretty well in review.
I know Trials of Mana did really well.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Secret of Mana remake did well. I think the Adventures of Mana did. But like Secret of Mana remake was so buggy, or
that one was
true to source material, depends on who you ask.
I think that's where I came out on it.
But like I thought Trials of Mana and that remake was really good. Like it was very one for one, but that's fine. It hits a niche that doesn't exist in the game space today. And I think there's still a place for those kinds of games, and that's fine.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't say Mana is dead yet. I feel like they have like another shot in there.
Oh, I know there was that Legend of Mana anime, and that also tanked.
Oh, they did do that. I wonder.
Like they were really trying to push it, and they just it did not do what they were hoping it would do. Mm-hmm. Which I mean, like. I love Mana. Like, I am the resident Mana guy. Even after replaying Secret of Mana, I was like, I should not have replayed this. Like, Mana does not have that staying power. It never was. It was always on, like, Square's sort of B list, along with Saga and whatnot. So like this push that they did, like I was excited for it, but I also was like, I don't know if this is really financially viable. Like I'm all for it. I get it. I think this is really cool, but I'm not expecting a whole lot out of it either.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. Square does have all the Enix properties. Star Ocean 6 did just come out, and I think it was okay.
It did well. It was all right. Like, it wasn't like a 10 out of 10 thing, but it did. Everybody comes out of that game going, this is a step in the right direction. Right. As long as they're taking back like the feedback around it, it's sold fairly well, like fairly okay. And the reception seems generally like positive. So maybe there might be more Star Ocean in the future.
I know Valkyrie's going back into the fucking like vault.
They're gonna shove that thing back into the fucking vault and never open it again.
I don't know what they were thinking, man. Like, and like you cannot blame like, oh, this didn't sell well, bro. Like my resident Valkyrie profile fan, the guy who heralds it as his favorite game ever, knew it was going to be bad, still bought it, played it, beat it, and was like, I don't understand why they made this game.
Bro, there's very few games where like I will touch the demo and be like, nah, I'm good. That was one of them. I was like, this is not a well put together thing.
I don't look, these old IPs that exist, they can exist in this future realm. Like your Valkyrie profiles, your Breath of Fires, your like all these games can exist if given the proper time. And I feel like Valkyrie Elysium, and there was the Valkyrie. No, I'm thinking of the Valkyria game from Sega. That's different.
Oh yeah,
I mean, but very relevant to this case, as in it was kind of like, hey, here's this like old series we haven't done a new game for in a while, but it's not really the same thing, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, well, they almost killed off Valkyria Chronicles, like going back to Sega, right? Because they did Valkyria Revolution. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, Valkyrie Elysium and Valkyria Revolution are like that same idea. Like, thank God that, you know, Sega still went ahead and made Valkyria Chronicles 4, and it's like really, really good. One day, I swear to God, I'll play it. But, like, I don't see that same thing happen for Valkyrie because, like, Square doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Yoshi P is carrying that entire company on his back.
Well, yeah.
Like, across the fiscal year line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Insane.
Like, as in my 34 years of age, I didn't even really get into Square games until like my mid-teens. But even then, I expect better out of this company that raised me almost.
Right.
Like I don't understand. Like all these older companies were able to evolve, and like Square was doing well there in like the middle 2000s. Like you had Final Fantasy 13, they had like the Tomb Raider reboot, Hitman was doing really well. Like they really embraced into the Western market, and then these idiots were like crypto. I don't know why this turned into a Square Enix rant, but here we are. Like
here we are.
I play games like Octopath, and I'm like, this is what you need to be doing. Like, fix this a little bit more, but like, this is the right direction. What are you fuckers doing?
I wish I knew. It's all down to Yoshi P and Team Asano, and I guess the Dragon
on
Quest
that man's back.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what Kingdom Hearts 4 does.
Oh yeah, they do have Kingdom Hearts. I forgot about that. I guess Square has more properties than I give them credit for.
They do.
Like,
Tactics Ogre
it feels like they don't put out anything
because they don't market well, right?
That's true.
Like,
oh yeah, what was that game that you were talking about? That was really, really cool.
Oh, Paranomicite.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I didn't even think about that. That's Square Enix developed and published game. Which that was.
I feel like they didn't advertise Octopath 2 really all that much.
Yeah, it's really sad because like Paranormal I think is the coolest thing Square Enix has done in a very long time. Right? It's just like this cool experimental small game. And it's like I want more of this. Like I want more of like a weird experimental Square that's not trying to like chase a trend poorly.
Meanwhile, I have to skip like a Final Fantasy 16 trailer 5 times a day because I'm trying to like not see anything on that game, and I'm like, bro, I'm already buying this game. You do not need to sell it to me,
bro.
Fucking sell me Paranormal Fight.
Yeah, sell me these other things, you know. Because like they have things coming out. Apparently, it's just we don't know about them.
They need to do a new Residence of Fate.
Is that still on sale? Holy shit! That was on sale.
Is that on sale?
That was on sale for like $20 on Steam, and I was like, "Oh shit, I need to pick it up," and then I forgot.
I actually need to like sit down and play that game, but like
never goes on sale.
Project Cross Zone has really made me interested in that game.
That is one of the most like complicated video games, but also one of the coolest fucking video games. Yeah, it's on sale.
Was that even Square Enix?
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
No, try it.
Try it. I mean, so it's like pseudo Square Enix, but
I mean, yeah, they work together on stuff, right? So,
not the new Valkyrie game.
I mean,
it should have been tried. Well, if you ask my Valkyrie Profile loving friend, Tri-Ace hasn't made a good game since Valkyrie Profile 2, so like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, well, you know, Tri-Ace does struggle too. Yeah. He might not be wrong. There might be some truth in that statement. But anyway, Residence of Fate is on sale for $20 for the next 13 hours on Steam.
What is it?
Is that just on Steam, or because like I know they got a console port as well on PlayStation 4, right?
Yeah, it did because they got the 4K version remaster. I don't know if it's on sale everywhere else.
Are you saying Residence of Fate or
yeah, Resonance?
Resonance. Oh,
yeah.
I'm looking up Residence.
Like Resident Evil.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Resonance.
Residence of Fate.
Yeah. It's a really fun like tactics game, featuring a lot of gun combat. But its mechanics are just very obtuse in how you have to like damage the enemies, because you have to like break their guard gauge first before you can deal enemies, and only certain like weapon types will do that. And like some weird combo mechanics in there. It is a clunky mess, but it is fucking awesome once you get the hang of it and watch it play.
That sounds like the perfect Tri-Ace game description.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That is a Tri-Ace game.
It definitely looks like it's
like 100%.
Yeah. It's the humor in it is also 10 out of 10. Like it's a very goofy game as well.
Yeah, looking at the trailer right now.
Mm-hmm. The animations are like top tier. Some of the best attack animations out there. Like they're fucking sliding and shooting and jumping over each other's backs, and it's so cool.
It's like if they made an Equilibrium like video game.
Yeah.
For those are for all our like mid-30s fans who watched that movie in the like early 90s.
So I'm gonna add that to my cart and figure out how to hit the purchase button. So yeah, with that segment over, I guess our Square Enix Power Hour. Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think that was everything I played, which is really just Octopath. Zelda is on the horizon.
It is.
I'm scheming ways on how to get all the pre-order gifts without bankrupting myself. I don't think that's possible. Fucking hate that like there's like 7 pre-order gifts and they're all retailer exclusive.
It's the worst.
Yeah. But Zelda comes out on Friday. I'm going to try to have Octopath done by then so I can, like, give you guys a lowdown on Zelda next week. I'm excited, if only because it's another trip into Hyrule. Like, for as much as I rag on Breath of the Wild, I did really enjoy my time with that game, and I imagine Tears of the Kingdom will deliver on that as well. I'm very, very excited for that game. So very excited for that game.
Very excited to check that game out as well. It's probably going to steal another 100 hours from me, I'm sure.
Like, man, when we get to Game of the Year, it's going to be a tough year. It really is.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. Like, there's no... At least I don't foresee there being, like, a runaway game. Right?
No, not like last year with Elden Ring.
Yeah. Like, last year was Elden Ring or God of War. It was one of the two. Like,
and hey, if that Elden Ring DLC comes out this year, Elden Ring has a chance to do it again.
Oh my god. We're not going to see that for another year.
Not if 13 Sentinels hits PC.
Oh my god. For the fifth year.
I mean, if we want to do that, Trails of Zero is like the best game of the year of like the past 10 years. So...
I mean, it's up for nomination if you want it.
No. I mean, I did mention it as an honorable mention last year. Yeah. But, I mean, Armored Core is also coming out this year, and I keep thinking about that game more and more.
Oh, that game looks so sick. The last trailer was so fucking cool.
I missed out on... So, there was a collector's edition, right?
Wasn't it like a lot of money? Wasn't it like a $300?
So the collector's edition was $230. It came with like an AC unit, and like, you know, the usual collector's edition. But then there was a premium edition. And I know this because James texted me. He's like, "Hey, are you getting the premium edition?" And I'm like, "You mean the collector's edition?" He's like, "No, I mean the premium edition." Yeah. And then I went and looked it up, and I'm like, "How much is this shit?" It's $450.
That one. That's the one I'm thinking of.
And, like, it comes with the same AC unit, but it has, like, a full-on fucking garage behind it. And I'm like, bro, that garage is not worth $220 to me. There's just no way.
But you gotta complete the set, Drew.
No, I missed out. They apparently all sold out, so I'm fine. I'm fine. We don't need that. I love Armored Core. Like, that game's going to be sick. Again, I keep thinking about that trailer a lot. And like, they have all the Souls money behind them because, like, you don't understand, I grew up on Armored Core. I used to sleep over at a friend's house to just play Armored Core all night, like when I was a kid. So like, I'm so excited that like this is an Armored Core game with a fucking budget. That is so exciting.
So fucking cool.
I'm very excited for this game.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's coming out so fast because it was a quick turnaround time from announcement.
I think they had been working on it for a while because they did the same thing with Elden Ring.
They have, and I like that trend of like, we announce games.
That is the Nintendo special these days. They're like, hey, we made a game. It's out in 2 weeks.
It's out at least within the next 6 months. Like that's how I feel like a cycle should go. Right? Stay quiet for a while, and then like when it's about ready to launch, that's when you announce it. Don't keep.
It makes it hard to fucking plan, though.
It does, but I don't know. It helps with the excitement around it. At least I'm more excited for when I first hear something. I'm like, okay, cool. I can play that real soon, instead of being bombarded with like, trailers for the next like year and a half.
I mean, that's fair. I get that. That is frustrating.
Yeah. Oh, then you get the part where like there's a long period of silence, and then you're wondering whether or not is everything okay? Is this game actually coming out? We went through the era of announcing things too early, right? So now it's like anytime there's radio silence, everybody's skeptical about what's going on.
You mean like Metroid Prime 4?
Well, at least we know with that one they had to restart development like twice. So.
I hope that game still exists.
So yeah. I feel like it does, given the timeline. So like,
I wonder if it's going to launch the next Nintendo console, because I feel like we're like due at this point.
if it was any other company, I would say yes. Nintendo be doing Nintendo things, so I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if they
it would be perfect for me to have bought 2 Switch OLEDs for them just to announce a new fucking system.
Right?
That's backwards compatible, because why not?
I don't know if we're going to get that new Switch anytime soon. They seem pretty content with what they have. And what they have is selling still. So I don't know.
I thought Switch sales were down.
They're still up. Like I think they're down overall, but like it's still like healthy sales numbers. It's not like a dire situation.
Well, no, I mean they're making money. People are buying their games. The fucking Mario movie is the best grossing movie of all fucking time.
$1 billion.
But it's bad, according to critics.
I mean, I still have not seen the movie, but I think I can understand a critical view on that movie, considering what it is.
I don't think it's a movie that's meant to be like viewed critically. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
But I mean, you could still, so you could separate those things, right? Where it's like, okay, if this is playing towards like a nostalgia kind of feel, or like only going for the specific thing, it's a whole thing about reviewing and like how you want to look at and review a thing. And critically, like it may not hit like the movie beats of like what you would call a traditional movie.
Well, yes,
and that's fine.
For Mario Brothers movie to be Citizen Kane,
and that's fine. The thing is like that's fine. It doesn't have to, but that doesn't mean we can't like criticize it for it. But acknowledge that, hey, this is okay for the audience that it is serving. Like, you can have both things. Both things can exist.
But I feel like critic reviews don't put it in that light. They're just like, it's bad.
Some don't. Some don't. And that sucks, right? I tend to not, like, put a lot of stock into things that don't do that. But it's like, I can understand why someone would criticize or be critical. Like, look at things from a critical lens.
Sure.
But that's a whole, like, other discussion that I could go down it. But I could talk for hours on that and how I feel reviews are misunderstood in a lot of ways and sometimes written very poorly. That's a subject for another day. Stay tuned for the JSB Patreon if you want exclusive content on my thoughts on the review process of media. With that, let's wrap up. Let's get out of here.
That's an episode.
I got some more ass beatings to give with Korone.
Yeah. I got some more headshots with Botan.
Oh Lord, y'all don't have rights. Ryan, where can people find you in your lioness?
Yeah, well, on Steam, obviously. You find me in the games there. Social media wise, though, Twitter, RCB_draws. That is basically my art account, which fun little announcement. I don't think I officially announced it yet, but I will be doing my first ever art booth in a month from now.
Oh yeah!
So everything's secure and ready to go. As far as having a spot, it's going to be at Nakama Anime Bar, which is in Orange Park on
Friend of the
Sunday.
show, Nakama.
Yep. Sunday, June 4th. It's my first ever art booth. I'm going to have some prints. I'm going to have some stickers. Stickers might be coming this week, so I might be able to share photos of that, and might do like a little pre-sale before the art booth as well to some people that might be interested in them. And I think I'm going to have either 8 or 9 print designs that I will be able to share as well once I get all the prints done. I know I shared which art pieces I did that will be prints so far, including the Rias Grimoire one that I did, the Okayu piece I did. I remastered the Sailor Jupiter one as well. So like there will be some stuff there to share. But yeah, RCB_draws. That's the Twitter account you can check me out on. That has all my artwork that I post and everything. And also here and there I do stream on Twitch still, which is RCB_TV. So you can find me in those two spots.
Cool. Drewstifer, how about you?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at JSB Totally Drew. Stay tuned for my Zelda Tears of the Kingdom clips that are going to be hilarious, I'm sure. I look forward to it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Also, probably me screaming about the Octopath final boss track, which is gonna be amazing. I just know it.
A lot of good things coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can find me on Twitter at Zenosuke, ZNOSUKE, where I will just talk about Idol Showdown and the struggle that is Korone, being a fair and honest character filled with
Buff
a
Korone.
bunch of other people. Buff Korone, she needs it. All these other characters, they are menaces to society.
You should start a hashtag, Rob, and then tweet it at Korone, so then she talks about it.
It's really funny, actually. I saw a tweet earlier that was like, "This is the first game where we could tweet directly at our characters that we were playing," and they tweeted at, I think it was Aki, and was just like, "Your character is bullshit," and they're like, "I mean that respectfully," and I was like, "This is a really weird era that we're in."
Fantastic.
So it was very fun stuff. You can also find me on our other show that we do here, the JSB Anime Cast, which we just did earlier today. So as you are hearing this, the VOD will be up on our YouTube as well as an audio service. Where this week, the assignment picked by me was Paranoia Agent. This was a series that came out in the mid-2000s by the late Satoshi Kon. It is one of my favorite anime of all time. It's a wonderful psychological thriller that just...
Why haven't you shown me this yet?
It's on the list. It's on the list. It's on the list. We're going to get to that. I will gladly watch this again. It was one that's it's one of those things where you know how you play so many games or you watch so many things that it's almost impossible to put a top 10 list of things together. It's something that changes all the time. At least that's how I am. And it's there are times where I don't think about Paranoia Agent because there's so much other stuff that occupies my mind, but at the same time it's always in the back of my mind. So it just happened to be one day I was thinking about it and I was just like, oh yeah, the next assignment's going to be Paranoia Agent. And I was just reminded why I love this show so much. So it's one of those things where it hasn't come up because for you specifically, I was thinking about other shows, right? Of this is what I want Drew to experience. And now rewatching this, I'm just maybe this is another one that I should show Drew. There are some horror elements in it, but it's not necessarily a horror thing. Though the subject matter can be horrifying. But anyway, fantastic anime, contender for one of the best of all time, depending on who you ask. If you guys seen it, go watch our spoiler cast on it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and then go watch our spoiler cast on it, because there was a lot of really fascinating discussions around that series. So yeah, with that, let's get out of here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. We will talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Play Idol Showdown.
Sorry, I'm listening to Octopath music.
I see.
Left the same.